Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something huge. It's the tech that's not just coming into our homes, it's fundamentally changing how we live and think in them.
Yeah, we're talking generative AI, smart assistants, tools for creating stuff, even robots. It's all becoming native to our living spaces now.
Right. And the sources we're diving into today give us this really critical kind of two-sided view.
Exactly. On one hand, you've got this super practical breakdown
Right.
about what tech is actually useful right now, specific products, timelines, how likely they are to catch on, real nuts and bolts stuff.
But then there's the other side, the deeper psychological impact. The sources call the information overload. What was the phrase? Physiologically corrosive.
Physiologically corrosive, yeah. Tells you straight up, this isn't just about getting more done.
No, it sounds more fundamental. So our mission here is to arm you, the listener, with both sides of this. How do you actually use the best of this tech effectively? The co-pilots, the assistants.
And just as importantly, how do you build up your defenses? How do you protect your own, cognitive well-being in the middle of this information flood?
It's like trying to find balance, right? Cognitive equilibrium, I think the sources called it. In a world where everything seems designed to grab your attention and knock you off center.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the practical side. What's actually landing in consumer hands, say, in 2024, 2025? We're seeing things like Amazon's Alexa, plus Google putting Gemini into Nest, those Microsoft Copilot subscriptions.
Right, let's unpack that landscape. The sources lay out these 7 pillars of residential AI.
First up, the one that's really shaken up office work the most, productivity tools. The AI assistants acting like digital collaborators. #1. Generative AI assistants and productivity suites.
Yeah, this first pillar is all about those embedded AI assistants. The sources really zero in on Microsoft Copilot expanding, especially that premium tier for regular consumers using Microsoft 365. That was pegged for around October 1st, 2025, wasn't it?
Sounds right. And that move basically signals AI isn't just for techies anymore. It's getting woven into Word, Excel, Outlook, everyday stuff.
And what we're seeing, and the sources confirm this, is that these tools, Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever, they don't just make old tasks faster, they change the whole starting point.
How so?
Well, they handle that daunting first draft, right? They can automate the meeting notes, summarize documents, speed up banging out basic code or fiddling with spreadsheets. They reduce that initial friction.
Okay, so it gets you started. But it's not doing the whole job.
No, exactly. That's the crucial bit. It's acceleration, not replacement. The AI might get you, 80% of the way there, but that final 20%, that critical judgment, the fact-checking, making sure it actually fits the context, the ethics, that's still firmly on the human.
Interesting. What about those productivity gain numbers, though? The sources mention like 10% to 40% time savings. Is that realistic or just hype?
It seems pretty grounded, actually. The sources point to specific cases. Think about industries that deal with tons of documents, like legal firms. They used AI for summarizing case files, discovery stuff, and consistently saw time cuts around 30–35%.
Okay, that's significant.
Yeah, and for developers, generating that basic code structure, the boilerplate, means they can jump straight into the tricky logic. The 10% saving might be for simpler things, like drafting an email. The 40%, that's more for really repetitive tasks, manipulate our structured data over and over. It's real, measurable leverage you can get now. #tech2. Smart home voice assistants with generative features.
Okay, moving from the computer to the home hub itself, pillar 2. Smart speakers are getting smarter.
Right, we're moving beyond just turn off the lights. Now we're getting actual generative features. Amazon's Alexa Plus is the big example here, the upgraded AI, often something you pay extra for.
So what do these premium features actually do? How is it different from the Alexa we already know?
It's really about context and handling more types of information. Multimodal, they call it. So Alexa Plus gets features like extended memory. It remembers past chats, your preferences over longer periods.
Ah, so it doesn't forget everything after 5 minutes.
Kind of, yeah. And it allows for longer, more back and forth conversations, more generative stuff, less just simple commands. Plus, devices like the Echo Show. They're getting better at understanding images and documents.
Like what?
Imagine showing it a PDF on the counter and asking it to summarize it, or pointing it at a recipe photo and having it generate a shopping list based on what ingredients you're missing, that kind of thing.
Okay, that does sound useful for automating household stuff, scheduling, lists. But hang on, the sources flagged privacy concerns, right? If it has extended memory and sees documents.
That's the huge trade-off. You're centralizing an incredibly rich personal data set, Audio, maybe spatial maps of your home, images, documents, transcripts of everything you ask.
Go.
Yeah. And depending on who you go with, Amazon, Google, whoever, and your specific settings, you're basically agreeing to let them collect and use that deep data. It's a transaction. Massive convenience for unprecedented data access. You need to be really clear on what you're giving up. Tag 3. Creative generative tools, entertainment and content.
Pillar 3 is all about making stuff. The creative tools Mid-Journey, Stable Diffusion for images.
Runway, Synthesia for video, Suno for music.
Right, these have just exploded. Suddenly anyone can generate art, video clips, music tracks.
And the impact is just lowering that barrier to entry, you know? The sources say it's fueling everything from personalized social media content to helping indie game developers or people making mods for existing games. You used to need complex software, skills, big data sets. Now it's more about having an idea and learning how to prompt the AI.
And this is a big but in the sources. The legal and ethical side is still incredibly messy.
Oh, absolutely. Huge questions around copyright, where the training data came from, the rights of the original artists. It's all being fought out in court right now.
So for someone using these at home,
The takeaway is, it's easy to make cool stuff, but if you plan to use it commercially or even share it widely, you have to be aware of the legal gray areas: authenticity, copyright liability. It's murky. Needs what the sources call creative accountability. #4. XR, VR more, consumer hardware.
Taka Iller for XR, extended reality, headsets, VR, AR, FR, all that jazz.
And the market here is really split, isn't it? The sources paint a picture of two distinct tiers.
Yeah. On one side, you've got the mass market push. Meta Quest 3 is the big one there. Relatively affordable, focus on games, fitness, social VR, stuff for the average home user. Strong existing app store, too.
Then on the other end, there's the high-end stuff. Apple Vision Pro is the prime example. Launched with amazing tech, super high fidelity, but the sources confirm production got scaled back pretty quickly.
Why was that? Too expensive.
Mostly, yeah. High cost, complex to make, and maybe not enough immediate must-have uses for the average person to justify that price tag. It's still more for pros, developers, or serious early adopters. Not quite a mainstream home device yet.
So this split dictates how they're used, right? The fancy ones are pitched for workspatial collaboration, virtual design meetings.
3D modeling, virtual whiteboards, that kind of thing. While the Quest 3 and similar devices are really dominating immersive games, watching movies, virtual hangouts.
And the advice for someone thinking about getting one?
Be cautious. The sources suggest using them for specific focused tasks where the immersion really helps visualizing a home reno, maybe certain types of training simulations, but keep sessions short, like 20 to 40 minutes max. Avoid that sensory fatigue that can creep in. #tag5, home automation security, and local agents.
Right, Pillar 5. This one's maybe less flashy, but potentially everywhere, making our existing home systems smarter.
Yeah, it's not always a new gadget. It's often a software upgrade, giving existing stuff an AI brain boost.
So generative AI helps create smarter rules for automation and lets you set them up just by talking naturally.
Exactly. Instead of complex if this then that logic, you could just say, hey, if it gets over 75 degrees and the house is empty and it's after dark, turn the AC down a bit. Much more intuitive.
The sources highlighted security systems here, didn't they? Like Nest Aware.
Yeah, moving beyond just detecting motion. Now AI is helping search and summarize camera footage. So instead of scrubbing through hours of video.
You can just ask, show me all the delivery drivers who came today, or when did the cat knock over the plant?
Precisely. Much more useful. And the sources also stress the difference between cloud processing and local agents.
Ah, right. Doing the processing on the device itself.
Yes, especially for things like security footage. Having the AI run locally identifying a person versus a car, summarizing activity means it's faster and, critically, more private. You're not constantly streaming potentially sensitive video up to the cloud for analysis. That's a big deal for privacy-conscious users. #tag6. Embodied AI and home robotics.
Okay, now we get to the robots. The ones that walk and talk.
Here.
Or maybe just scuttle. Embodied AI.
And we need to be clear here. We already have successful home robots, right? The robot vacuum, the lawnmower bot. Those are mature, useful products.
They solve a specific problem,
Yeah.
effectively.
But that's different from the general purpose humanoid or companion robot. Those are still mostly experimental, pretty niche. The idea of having a Rosie the robot helping around the house, that's not mainstream yet. Not even close, really.
We see cool demos, though. Robots using language models walking around?
We do, but the sources emphasize the gap between those demos and something practical and affordable for the average home. We'll dig into the robot timelines more in part 2 because the difference between hype and reality is huge here. Hashtag 7, vehicle automation, FSD consumer facing.
Okay, last pillar, number 7. Cars. Vehicle automation. For most people, this means advanced driver assist systems. Tesla's FSD is the big name, but it's specifically supervised FSD.
And supervised is the absolute key word there. The sources hammer this home. Yes, you can buy it, it's a consumer upgrade, but it is not full self-driving. It's advanced assistance. You, the driver, must stay engaged, ready to take over instantly.
That constant vigilance.
Yeah.
That sounds like work in itself.
It is. And it's mandatory, especially with regulators constantly watching. The sources mention the ongoing NHTSA investigations into accidents and weird system behavior. It just underlines that this tech is still evolving, still needs constant human oversight.
So the benefit is convenience for commutes, maybe running errands.
But the cost is shifting from physical effort to mental load. Plus, you've got all the complex issues around safety, liability, insurance, local laws. It's a lot to navigate.
So if we tie all 7 pillars together, the sources talk about this blurring of roles.
Yeah, the same AI tech, the same VR headset, it's being used for work and play. Virtual meetings 1 minute, VR games the next.
Which leads to
2 big things. First, this massive merging of home and work life where the boundaries just dissolve. And second, a growing skills gap. If you don't learn how to use these tools, prompting, checking the output, understanding the interfaces, you risk falling behind. Those who adapt get a real advantage. Being reluctant about this tech, that's becoming less and less viable.
Okay, so that's the landscape. We know what's out there. But now, let's get really practical. What should you actually consider buying now? And when can we expect the truly big shifts? We're going to use those radar chart scores and ETAs from the sources.
Right. Focus on the immediate bang for your buck.
Yeah.
The sources are pretty clear about where the high-impact, low-fuss tech is right now. Okay, top scores, tied at 8.5 out of 10. You've got generative assistants, the co-pilots, chat GPTs, and mature home robotics. That means your robot vacuums, your robot lawnmowers.
Why so high?
Because they're affordable, they work well, they solve real problems, and you don't need a PhD to use them. The friction is low.
And the timelines match that.
Yep. Robot vacuums and mowers. Already common. Just expect incremental improvements over the next, say, 1 to 3 years. Generative assistants, the sources say just 1 to 2 years for them to be deeply integrated and really changing things broadly. This is the definite low-hanging fruit.
What's next highest?
Close behind, scoring an 8.0, are the creative generative tools. Midjourney, Suno, the video ones. Again, ETA's super tight, 1 to 2 years. If you need leverage today, writing codes, summarizing stuff, making images, these 3 categories are where you look first. Hashtag, tag, mid-range impact, and longer timelines.
All right, now for the stuff that's promising but maybe needs more time, more money, or regulators to catch up.
XR headsets land at 6.5. They're capable, sure, but still wrestling with cost, finding enough compelling content, and that fatigue factor we mentioned.
So when do they become truly practical for everyday use, beyond just games?
The ETA is looking like 2 to 4 years for that broader adoption in workflows. The current market reflects this, right? MetaQuest 3 makes it accessible, but Apple pulling back on Vision Pro production suggests the price isn't right yet for mass market spatial computing at home.
And the cars. Supervised FSD.
That scored a 5.5. The sources put the ETA for safer, wider, more reliable use, still supervised, mind you, at 3 to 7 years.
That's quite a range. Why so long?
It's just incredibly complex, local rules vary wildly, insurance is still figuring it out, and there are endless, unpredictable edge cases on real roads. That timeline for genuine set it, forget it's driving keeps getting pushed further out. The safety tech helps, but the mental burden of supervising means it's not total freedom yet.
Which brings us back to the robots that aren't just cleaning floors. The ones that walk around. What's the real story there, according to the source?
Well, there's a clear split based on shape. Consumer quadruped robots, the 4-legged dog-like ones, Unitree Do 2, Xiaomi CyberDog, they score 4.0, manageable.
And the ETA for those?
Looking at 3 to 6 years for them to find a solid niche become reasonably affordable.
Think under $2,000 for a useful one.
Okay, 3 to 6 years for a robot dog that can maybe do some home monitoring or act like a fancy pet. That feels somewhat plausible. But the humanoids, the ones that look like us.
Ah, they scored way lower, just 2.5. The ETA for a genuinely useful, affordable humanoid helper in the home, much further out, 7 to 15 years.
This is where the hype really outpaces the current engineering reality. Hashtag tag offers $1 5K robot comparison, deep dive segment.
Let's spend a moment on this because the sources make a really specific comparison that highlights the state of play. Why is a, say, $1,500 robot dog a much better buy today than a $7,000 humanoid robot?
It really just boils down to the price to utility ratio. Simple as that. The sources point out that a $7 humanoid right now, it's pretty limited functionally.
So?
Often needs a very specific, controlled environment. Its hands usually aren't very dexterous, battery life is often poor, and the cost to maintain and support it extremely high. For a regular household, it's basically an expensive, high-maintenance demo piece, not a practical helper.
A science project, like you said. Whereas the robot dogs like the Xiaomi CyberDog around $1,800 or the Unitree Go 2 around $2,800 offer something clearer.
Much clearer value. They deliver on two main things right now: impressive mobility over different terrains and potential for surveillance or remote presence. They're generally easier and cheaper to build and improve, and their skills, like walking around or maybe fetching something small, are more reliably demonstrated today. You're paying for advanced, robust movement.
And then there's the creepiness factor, or adoption friction. A 5-foot humanoid wandering your house feels different.
It triggers way more safety concerns, regulatory questions, and just that uncanny valley feeling. It's high psychological friction.
Whereas the dog bot,
It's still complex, but it feels more like the home robots we already accept, like the Roomba. Lower to the ground, less imposing, easier to get used to.
do the sources put numbers on this, like likelihood of adoption?
They do. They estimate a 55% to 70% chance that a useful sub-$1,500 quadruped becomes a common niche item in homes within 3 to 6 years. But for a $7,000 multi-purpose humanoid, only a 10% to 25% chance of hitting that same level of adoption in that time frame. The market's clearly betting on focused, affordable utility over the big, expensive promise for now.
So summing up the practical side, the real action today is in the generative assistants, the creative tools, and those specialized robot vacuum mowers. Not the walking, talking robots yet. Okay, we've got the offensive strategy, what tech to maybe adopt. Now we absolutely have to pivot to the defense because the sources spend a lot of time analyzing the hidden costs, the cognitive toll of living in this flood of AI-generated information.
Yeah, the core idea is pretty stark. Our brains evolved for information scarcity, not this overwhelming abundance. We're just not wired for it.
Yeah.
Hashtag the inverted information economy is like the whole information game is flipped. Historically, finding knowledge was the hard part, hunting it down.
Right. Libraries, experts, effort was involved.
Now, thanks to LLMs and generative AI, information is everywhere, cheap, instantly available. The challenge isn't finding it anymore. It's filtering it, verifying it, figuring out where it even came from. Is it real? Is it just plausible sounding nonsense?
And that constant filtering takes a toll.
A huge toll on your cognitive load. Your brain isn't just passively absorbing information now. It's running this constant background security check.
Trying to separate the signal from the noise.
Exactly. Is this true? Is it just well-written fiction? Did the AI drift off topic? Can I even focus with all this other stuff demanding attention? Your working memory is constantly juggling, evaluating. It's mentally exhausting.
And this leads to what the sources called epistemic fatigue.
Yeah. Epistemic fatigue. It's the exhaustion that comes from the verification process itself. That feeling of, I don't even know what to trust anymore. The anchors feel like they're gone.
That sounds bad.
It's incredibly corrosive. Internally, it feels like chronic stress. It drains your mental reserves, makes your prefrontal cortex, the rational thinking part of your brain, work way too hard, leaving it less effective when you need it for actual complex decisions or planning. Hashtag the slop effect and narrative breakdown.
This ties into another concept from the sources, the slop effect. This idea of just filler content everywhere.
That's it. AI-generated stuff that looks like real information, grammatically correct, reads smoothly, but it's low quality, low semantic density, empty calories for the mind, as one source put it. It fills space but offers no real nourishment, no deep truth or originality.
Just slop. I'm constantly consuming this. What does it do to us long term?
It leads to what the sources call coherence erosion. Your brain gets trained to expect constant novelty, but without any real substance or meaning attached. Over time, this chips away at your ability to build and maintain coherent internal narratives.
Our own story of the world and our place in it.
Exactly. Those narratives are fundamental to psychological stability, to making sense of things, to planning for the future. When they start to break down because the inputs are so fragmented and unreliable, you feel fragmented, disconnected, always searching for a completion that never comes.
And that feeling drives this other thing they mentioned, the DMN trap. What's DMN?
DMN is the default mode network. It's a brain network that's active when you're resting, daydreaming, thinking about yourself, your past, your future, kind of your internal monologue space. Normally it's fine, but when it gets triggered by this constant sense of ambiguity, this narrative breakdown, this feeling of incompleteness from the slop, it doesn't lead to restful introspection. It leads to rumination, worrying, replaying conflicts. You get stuck in this loop of unresolved mental tension, unable to find real cognitive peace.
Okay, let's get granular.
Yeah.
You said physiologically corrosive. What's actually happening inside? Why is ambiguity so physically draining?
Well, first off, our brains are energy hogs. They use about 20% of our total body energy, mostly glucose and oxygen.
Wow, okay.
And when we face ambiguity, uncertainty, or conflicting information, the brain demands even more fuel, especially one specific part, the anterior cingulate cortex, so ACC.
The ECC, what does that do?
Think of it as your brain's conflict monitor, its error detection system. It lights up like crazy when you have to weigh contradictory information, or when you realize you messed up, or when things just don't make sense.
So when you're constantly trying to figure out if AI output is true or garbage,
Your ACC is basically working overtime, non-stop. It's like revving your car engine constantly while stuck in park. It burns through resources like crazy.
and the long-term effect of that constant internal conflict.
That's physiological corrosion. It looks a lot like chronic stress on a biological level. You get elevated cortisol, the main stress hormone. Sustained high cortisol is bad news for your immune system, your metabolism, everything.
What else?
You can see reduced dopamine regulation. Dopamine's involved in motivation, reward. When it's dysregulated, things feel less rewarding. It's harder to get motivated for difficult tasks. You feel kind of blunted. And potentially, there's a risk of hippocampal atrophy.
Shrinking of the hippocampus. That sounds serious.
It is. The hippocampus is key for memory, learning, emotional regulation. If the brain perceives this constant ambiguity as a low-level, persistent threat, keeping that fight-or-flight system simmering, it can, over time, damage these crucial structures. Hashtag the erosion of cognitive trust.
So the ultimate cost seems to be the breakdown of trust itself. Not just trust in external sources, but trust in our own ability to know things.
Exactly. Trust is like a cognitive shortcut. A compression algorithm, the sources call it. If you trust a source, a specific expert, a reputable journal, whatever, you essentially outsource the verification work. You don't have to recheck every single fact yourself, frees up mental energy.
But when the environment is saturated with plausible-sounding slop,
That trust evaporates. You have to constantly verify. And then you start questioning the verifiers. You check the source, then you have to check the source that claims to check the source. It becomes this endless, exhausting loop. Meta-skepticism.
which leads to.
Meta-anxiety. It's not just, I don't know if this specific thing is true. It becomes, I don't know if knowing is even possible anymore in this environment. That feeling, the sources say, correlates strongly with depressive symptoms, a sense of learned helplessness, profound existential fatigue. Our brains are wired to seek coherence, to make predictions. When that ability is constantly undermined, the psychological damage is severe.
Okay. Wow. That's rough. Incredible potential mixed with some really deep risks. So now we need the synthesis. How do we take the practical advice on the tech and combine it with defending our minds? We need a plan.
Right. First, the offense. Adopt selectively. Focus on those high-leverage tools we identified earlier.
So the Copilot's ChatGPT Pro, use them for the first draft, the summary, the code scaffolding.
Exactly. But always with a critical human review. That final 20% check, non-negotiable, especially for anything important or public. Don't let the AI have the final say. Use it to start fast, but finish smart. And yeah, learn basic prompt engineering. Tell the AI who to be, what tone to use, what guardrails to respect.
Okay, what about XR, the headsets?
Experiment for specific focused tasks where immersion helps. Planning a room layout, maybe training simulations. But stick to short sessions. That 20-40-minute guideline is key to avoid fatigue. And pick the right tool for the job. Quest 3 if budget and broad content matter. Vision Pro only if you absolutely need those high-end spatial work features now.
And the cars, supervised FSD.
Treat it strictly as advanced cruise control, basically. Eyes on the road, hands ready. Monitor its behavior, especially in weird weather or unfamiliar places. And know your local laws and insurance details cold. It's assistance, not autonomy. And definitely build skills. Understand what these models are good at synthesizing, summarizing, generating variations, and what they're bad at checking facts, nuanced reasoning, understanding true context. Have a plan for how you'll quickly verify anything important the AI gives you. Okay, defense. This is about making your digital walls stronger, starting with privacy settings. If you activate those paid AI features, Alexa plus Gemini on Nest.
You need to do an immediate audit.
Absolutely. Go through every setting. Understand the data retention. Turn off anything you don't absolutely need. That extended memory feature may be convenient, but is it worth the privacy cost? Disable it if you're unsure.
Ah.
And use strong passwords, multi-factor authentication everywhere. That data is just too rich to leave exposed.
And use the tech to help set boundaries, not just break them down.
Yes. Role-based automation. Program your smart home to support your focus. Create a work mode, maybe it dims distracting lights, silences notifications, even blocks access to certain websites or AI tools. Make the automation enforce your boundaries. And where possible, especially for security, look into those local first agents that keep sensitive data on your device, not in the cloud.
Right, this feels like the core of the defense.
Yeah.
The sources talk about cognitive hygiene, like mental fitness routines.
Exactly. To counter the flood, you need intentional practices. First, cognitive fasting.
Taking breaks from information.
Scheduled intentional breaks, no new input. Let your brain consolidate, process, rest. You can't just consume constantly without overwhelming the system. It needs downtime.
Makes sense. What else?
Source ritualization. To combat that I don't know what to trust feeling, consciously choose a small number of trusted sources. High-quality journals, verified experts, reliable databases, stick to them. Outsource some of that verification burden to sources you've already vetted. It lowers the load on your brain's conflict monitor, the ACC.
Okay, limit the fire hose.
Then there's embodied grounding. When you feel overwhelmed by digital ambiguity, get physical. Go for a walk, exercise, spend time in nature. Moving your body, connecting with the real, tangible world helps downregulate that stress response. Quiets the DMN rumination loop. It's a physiological antidote.
Get out of your head and into your body.
Precisely. And finally, practice slow knowledge. Prioritize deep understanding over just covering massive amounts of information superficially. Read a physical book instead of scrolling endless feeds. Engage in focused, deep work. This kind of slow processing reactivates the brain circuits, like the hippocampus, that get worn down by constant, shallow ambiguity. Deep reading is actually a defense mechanism now.
Wow, okay. And for people using the creative tools.
Creative accountability. Use them intentionally. Be clear about your goals. If you share or publish work made with AI, consider noting it. And absolutely check licensing and copyright if it's for professional or commercial use. Be deliberate. Intentionality is maybe the strongest defense against just being swept away by the flood. #outro.
Well, that was certainly a deep dive. We've gone from the really practical stuff, generative assistants scoring 8.5 for immediate use.
All the way to the household humanoids, still years away and facing major hurdles.
And the core tension that came through loud and clear is this battle for coherence. Our brains crave it, need it like oxygen. But these powerful new tools, while boosting productivity, also flood us with complexity and ambiguity.
Yeah, forcing us to constantly burn mental energy, sorting fact from fiction, signal from noise, leading to that real, measurable, physiological corrosion.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is this. These technologies blur the lines between work and home, productivity and distraction. They're designed often to break down boundaries and keep you engaged, keep that conflict monitor buzzing.
In that environment, maybe the ultimate measure of success isn't just how much more productive you are. Maybe it's how well you defend your cognitive equilibrium.
So ask yourself, in this world of infinite, often fake digital input, how actively are you choosing focus? How deliberately are you building and maintaining boundaries against the very systems designed to tear them down?